So, understand that most of this kind of content that you're getting a feed about, whether it's Twitter or YouTube content or, commentary made in passion when trying to explain to potentially hundreds of thousands of people about HEX and what's going on, is some of this can be taken out of context. There's always going to be voice clip little snippets that say, hey, this doesn't align or this isn't congruent with what has been said in the past or by some other person in a similar position. And the big point is what RG3 said. Richard has always said, if you want something, you do it. You are the one that draws your pony picture. This is an asset class of code. And if you interact with the code itself, this is what it does. So, he's had a pretty strong, not just personal opinion about how to deal with things as a founder of code or launch of code. He's also had, different jurisdictions and different legal opinions and things like that fed to him over the years of being experienced in business and experienced in cryptocurrencies. Some of it we take upon ourselves as individuals, whether it's a leadership position and say, hey, I think that the community needs leadership. I think the community needs voice. And many of us try to be that voice. But if someone else wants to step up to the mic, then they're always welcome to. That's the whole beauty of a DeFi product inside of a decentralized community. We come from all different backgrounds. We come from all different experiences and cultures. And we tend to filter out the words that we don't understand and focus on the ones that we do understand in different contexts. So that's the big point is, what RG3 is able to share with you guys. I think that the big thing that frustrates some that have made some commentary is maybe there's commingling of funding, or maybe there's commingling of goals set that legal representation is putting out there. And if there's something along the lines of, here is a read-only vlog, public website or something like that anybody can review at any time and say, this is what's going on. This is the action step. This is where we are in the process. I think that kind of transparency about what actually is the set goal by the legal firm representing whatever the goal may be, that's the big thing is transparency. As much transparency that can be provided by the legal firm themselves about what the goal is when you're saying it's a declarative letter or, a determination before there's documentations that are just fishing expedition style fed over to agencies. It's not about non-compliance. It is about compliance, and it is about justification in the legal system of legacy versus the system of code. So that's really what I think I see the turbulence being from different people inside of the HEX community or voices in the HEX community. Is there transparency? And if there is transparency, what is the actual goal set? Another thing that I want to say before I find a quieter place is, if you choose to donate, if you choose to fund, it doesn't matter whether it's this particular ETH address or any other address that you find on the internet. Understand that it is a donation if it's a donation that you're making. And understand also that there are other mechanisms to support such a cause if you choose to. Maybe there's GoFundMe that can be provided. Maybe there's more transparency about, required, of course, that it's KYC or AML or any of those kinds of things if you're going to use legacy systems to fund something like this, a legal defense fund or something along those lines. If you understand what that purpose of the Treasury or the purpose of the funding would be, then, of course, in my opinion, there should be transparency of where the expense was really put or where those funds were actually put. And usually that should be done by a legal firm. That should be done by a law firm and say, here's what was spent. Here are the number of hours put to the cause that you donate to or support. Also, I tend to believe in these economic times that if you don't have active cash flow from things that have nothing to do from cryptocurrencies in a volatile world of speculation, you probably shouldn't be funding it at all. Like, I do think that we pull along a lot of people that don't put voice or face or effort themselves, and they speculate on cryptocurrencies just like gambling. And maybe those people aren't ever going to step up to the plate when it comes to either funding something or being a voice of leadership. But if you are in a position where you can throw some kind of support, whether it's your own voice or by proxy, supporting others that have voice, why not? I don't want the little guy saying, man, I've got nothing but, X amount of dollars and I'm nervous about the future of my family, in a recession, or if you have a lot of concerns financially, probably shouldn't be in this fight. Like, there's plenty of other things that you should be shoring up. I think that's the point that Steph was making last night, or at least 7 or 8 hours ago. Bear market opportunity versus speculation over a legal defense funding or something like that. Look toward either stepping up to the plate and saying this is a cause I want to support, or look toward supporting your own investment thesis, whatever that might be. I like the reasonable caution that most lawyers deal with. I've dealt with lawyers a lot of my life, and even inside of cryptocurrency, some people have heard my story in the past from 2017. And it's tedious and it's time consuming and it's stressful and it's anxious as a client and as a provider. If your profession is based on giving sound legal advice to clients, you're on the hook too. Your career, your future, and things like that. Your license to practice law is at risk for malpractice, right? So keep that in mind. There are others that may have received letters that may have decided that they're going to go their own path, their own choices, and their own preference about whom, if anybody, represents them. Just keep in mind that there may be less than everyone that gets an SEC letter that works with this particular retainer. Keep that in mind. And be cautious. Be reasonably cautious about what you support, who you support. And I tend to think, even though this is DeFi, even though this is a community that has social bridging between each other, and we may have different reasons about why we're involved with cryptocurrency as a whole. Some are here to get rich. Some people are trying to have a commodity that somehow has influence over government. Some people believe very strongly in freedom of speech, and blockchain is speech. There's all kinds of causes that we may be trying to support with our own efforts and finance, or capital, social capital, or whatever kind of capital. So keep that in mind. But I do like a legal firm that basically can have a unified approach with three-letter agencies. I prefer that instead of individuals. And even when you're making tweets, even when you're making Telegram noise, even when you're making YouTube content, please, please be prudent and be cautious and let the legal process in the legacy world deal with this. It's my call. I think it's better that we're unified than divided. I think that there's more benefit to cryptocurrency as a whole, not just Bitcoin, which is not a security according to the SEC, Ethereum, that's not a security according to the SEC, at least in its first iteration, and all of the effort that went into the game theory and development of the HEX product, that it shouldn't be considered a security either. So when you're looking at this as a investment, as a freedom of speech, support, whatever reason that you're in the HEX community or you like to talk about as an enthusiast the product of HEX, keep that in mind. Like, what is the value to your freedoms? What is the value to your bank account? What is the value to your options when it comes to the product of HEX? What is that value? And support or detract from the HEX community as you choose to.